I've got two jobs set up here. One's rocket launch and the other one's drone ship viral video. Let's look at rocket launch for a second. This one here has two items. One's research, one's design. I've got Alan assigned as one of the team members working on research. He's got 40 hours of planned time there to spend on that. And on the design component, we have Aaron and Jono working 10 and 100 hours respectively. The other job is the viral video job. Now this one has 3 items inside the job. We have some tentative dates that we would like to get this work done, but we don't have any team members yet. This is a good example of a job that perhaps is waiting on client approval, and we've tentatively decided how we want to plan that out, but we're not ready to hit the go button just yet. So I want to put this job into action, and I want to find the best team to work on it based on their availability. So I'm going to come across and have a look at how these jobs look on the schedule screen. The schedule has 2 distinct areas. There's a jobs area that you can see here, and you can get to that by just hitting this tab here for jobs. I can see the drone ship job, and I can see the 3 items, and they're spread out in a Gantt chart with the dates that I've set over on the job. As I mentioned, there's no team assigned to any of these just yet, so we're going to do that very shortly. And here's the rocket launch job. We have the research component and the design component for that job, and I can see here that Alan, Aaron and Jono are all working on it, and I can see how many planned hours we've allowed for each of those guys. That's come over from the job plan. Let's just use the search here to filter out just the rocket launch job, and this just keeps our screen nice and clear while we're working on it. What I'm going to do here is plan out when I'd like to do this job. So it's just a case of clicking and dragging out across the days that I want that to be done. And then I can, while still holding the mouse down, drag upwards and change the number of hours per day that I want that person to spend on it. All the time I can see over in the bottom right that the number of hours that I'm assigning for that particular block. So in this case, it's 24 hours of time being assigned, which is going to put Alan at 50% capacity over the next 6 working days. I've got that assigned out, and this is showing me that there's 24 hours of time assigned out of a possible 40. Now, that's the research component for the job. I also want to plan out the design, so I can do that over here. Aaron is going to spend some time over next week working with Jono on some brainstorming ideas, and then the following week, Jono is going to work solid 8 hours a day on that design item. This gets shaded into grey to show me that Jono has been assigned a full week over here on that particular item. So this job view gives me a very clear Gantt timeline of all the different components on the job, and I can fold it down just to look at the individual components without seeing specifics in here if I want to. The team view is the other view, and keep in mind we're still filtered here by the one job, rocket launch, and this shows me what the impact is on that schedule to everybody's weeks. So I can see here that by assigning 3 hours a day, for instance, to Aaron on design, it means that he's got some availability over those days of 5 hours per day. So he works 8 hours per day normally, and this is his availability. Over here I can see Alan's availability during that time, and Jono's, and as I mentioned, Jono's completely now booked out for the week of the 12th of June. And now that I've painted out these blocks onto the schedule, if I go across to a user's to-do screen, and this link here will take me directly to view what things look like over on Alan's to-do screen, I can see quite clearly how those blocks have been assigned across the days for him. So here's the week starting today through to the 2nd, and then if I move into the following week, I can see there are 2 more blocks of time for that. If I go to the other users like Jono, for instance, I can see here for the week of the 5th, he's working 3 hours per day. And that's, of course, coming from the schedule over here. Now, sometimes you may want to add a small note to some of these assignments. This is in addition to the information that you've got over on the job. So, for instance, I can put a little note like this. And now if I look over on Alan's screen, he will see quite clearly that note appearing on each of those to-dos that I've created. Alan can also see that these to-do tasks have been created from the schedule because of the small triangles located on the corner of each one. And also, if you pop open the card, he can see clearly that the item has come in from the scheduler, and there are the scheduler's notes if there are any. Of course, Alan can add his own notes down here as well, and when he's completed the work, he can just track that in the normal way. We'll just come back to the schedule, and here's that rocket launch job again. I'm going to turn on and view jobs and items that are in the paused state, this yellow state as well. This state is essentially a planning stage where items that are in the pause state do not appear on people's to-do screens. Keeping things paused is a good way to plan out your week without actually assigning work to people. So you can visually see the impact of the plan across the timeline, but no individuals get assigned the items until you put them into play. In the case of the viral video job here, we have no people assigned to these. So in this scenario, I want to pick up my team. In this case, Jono, he's going to be working on concepts, and I can just drag and drop him onto the item like that. Now I can specify how many hours I want him to spend in total on that particular item, 75. I can put it into play, and at that point, this item is now visible over on Jono's to-do screen. We can see that the concepts has a deadline this Saturday, and 75 hours of time is allowed for that. Jono can pick this up and assign it himself to days, and using the option key, he can duplicate across and work out exactly when and how he's going to do that work. This is a scenario where Jono is scheduling the work himself directly onto his own screen, and he's getting the work from this item sidebar here. If you prefer to schedule this for Jono, and we'll just delete these now to show you that scenario, let's come back to the schedule. All you need to do as a scheduler is drag out when you'd like Jono to spend on that, work out how many hours per day you'd like him to spend by dragging upwards, and then give Jono an optional note. And now back on his to-do screen, we can see that those items have been assigned to Jono, each one by the scheduler, along with the note that I've put in there. Meanwhile, back on the team schedule, we can very clearly see everybody's availability, and we can drill right into everything and see exactly how that's being made up. Sometimes it's helpful to just filter down to one job, for instance the rocket launch job, and only see the scheduled items that relate to that, both from the job screen or the team screen. Or perhaps you just want to find all the design components that are being worked on currently in the studio and see who's working on those, or all work for just one client, for instance.